Yo, it's Elliot with Yo Elliot. You got strength questions, and I've got your answers.
Yo, Elliot.
Well, today we got a great question from our buddy who wants to know about the difference between high-intensity interval training through sprinting and dieting for fat loss. Which one is better? Go for it.
Hey, what's up, Elliot? I've been reading a lot of the comments on your Facebook page about the post you made on sprinters having lean bodies, and I noticed a lot of them said that it had to do with high-intensity training or high-intensity interval training and the hormone reduction that comes from that, but also a lot of them said that it had to deal with their strict nutrition plans. And so my question to you is, how strict of a nutrition plan do you have to be on to get that super lean muscular body? Hopefully you can help me out, man. Appreciate it.
Alright, dude, thanks for your question. Thanks for being a Facebook fan of mine also. It's really cool. I post all my weird shit on there so you can see the inner workings of my psychotic brain. But to answer your question with regard to the difference between sprinting and athletic type HIIT training for fat loss and dieting, I want to share a quick story with you. When I was in college, I played football. A lot of you guys know that. And like most college football players, I drank a lot of beer and ate a lot of pizza and went to the diner at 3 o'clock in the morning and ate a lot of burgers. And I was, I wasn't ripped. I was probably about 18%, maybe 15% body fat. Definitely sprinted a lot because I was a running back, and running backs had to sprint all practice long, and then at the end of practice we had to sprint. So we're just sprinting like our asses off and eating like a college kid. So I was never ripped, wasn't totally fat, but definitely didn't look great with my shirt off. Then after college, I started developing some problems where I was farting a lot. And this was like just so embarrassing. This is the type of farts where like you can't go anywhere. And I almost didn't even want to leave my house at times. I joined a martial arts class and there were like hot girls there and stuff, and I'd like be doing the workout and no one wanted to come around me. I quit the class and everything. Really, really embarrassing shit. I saw them giggling and stuff at me. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, what the fuck am I farting for? I didn't do anything different. I was out of college. I wanted to do some other shit and join a martial arts class, and no one can stand me. So I did some research, and I actually spoke to a really good friend, and he said, there's a protein in most grains called gluten. It's an undigestible type protein that a lot of people become intolerant to. And if you cut out most grains that contain gluten, which are browse, B-R-O-W-S is a good way to remember, barley, rye, oats, wheat, and spelt, cut those out of your diet for a few days and see what happens. Because prior to that, I was like taking enzymes, taking Beano capsules and shit, and I eliminated the gluten from my diet. Lo and behold, I was clear again. I stopped farting. No more farting. I was sold. I said, grains are out. I'm grain-free, and all I'm doing is eating meat and vegetables. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I wanted to get ripped. It had to do with the fact that I wanted to stop farting and stinking up the classroom. So several weeks later, it didn't take very long after eliminating grains from my diet completely. And at that point, my insulin came down, so I had less sugar cravings. We all had like our little weird sugar cravings, and I did at that time. But when I eliminated the grains, particularly gluten grains, I no longer had sugar cravings. So there was no carbohydrates in my diet except from vegetables and some fruits. And this, like I told you, I was not interested in getting abs at the time or looking ripped. It was completely so that I didn't fart all the time. And lo and behold, a couple weeks later, probably less than 2 months later, started cutting up and having ripped abs. I've never had abs before in my life. I haven't had them since, but I'm moving back in that direction where I'm eliminating gluten and grains in my diet right now. But it just showed me right away. I was like, shit, I'm training far less than when I was sprinting in college for football. I really was working out maybe 3 days a week and doing no cardio, but because I eliminated the grains from my diet, I got ripped. My point is that you've got to eliminate grains from your diet or really reduce the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating, especially gluten-containing carbohydrates, if you want to reduce inflammation in your gut and your colon, especially if you're gluten intolerant, which like 70% of the population is. And also it lowers the insulin response, so you'll have less sugar cravings and really burn more fat. You'll have more free fat to burn as opposed to, you know, always burning glycogen. So my advice to you is to continue to sprint. You're going to need to do that. That's definitely a vital part of any strength training program, especially if you're doing it for performance, but start cutting back on your carbohydrates. A lot of people are going to argue with me on this, especially as it relates to grains. I'm not saying don't eat vegetables, because I eat a shitload of vegetables. I eat lots of vegetables, a little bit of fruit, not that much, but the majority of my nutrients right now, and I am feeling great. I am losing weight, my energy is crazy, sick through the roof, focus, concentration. I don't drink coffee really at all anymore. Sexual mojo, I'm there with you, not you, my wife. And this is all due to the fact that my diet is about 60% fat right now. So it's a lot of high protein meats and organs, egg yolks like a motherfucker, sometimes up to 12 egg yolks a day, heavy cream, and coconut oil. That's a big part of my diet right now. That's where I'm getting my energy from. And those are also, saturated fats and cholesterol also spawn the pathway or ignite the pathway to your body's the release of anabolic hormones. So they're precursors. Cholesterol is a precursor to testosterone. So that's one of the other reasons why a high-fat diet is going to give you more energy, make you leaner, more ripped, and you're just going to be a bigger, badder badass if you do what I say. Now, there are metabolic types that this advice wouldn't apply to. Certain people need to eat more carbohydrates and sugars than others just to maintain themselves because of their genetic heritage. If that's the case, and you know there may be a good segment of the population where that's the case, then include more fruits and vegetables. And if you have to take grains, use rice or grains that don't include gluten, and be very strategic about when you take those carbohydrates in particularly throughout the day and very close to when you work out. So I wouldn't have it like, you know, in the evening before going to bed, and probably try to keep it earlier in the day and right before or right after your workout. Things like blueberries and strawberries, berries that are low glycemic. But for me, none of that shit. Straight up meat and dairy, eggs, coconut oil, and I couldn't sing its praises even enough. So that's my advice. Good resource to grab that gives you information with regard to this is anything by Vince Gironda. A good friend of mine just republished one of his books, and I'll put a link down below for it. In that book, he gives you so much information and really is very convincing about eating this primal type diet, and he was the guy that people went to when they wanted to get ripped. Arnold hired him as a coach, and all of the celebrities and stars would typically hire Vince Gironda because he knew how to get people ripped really quickly. So there you have it. Thanks for your video question. I hope that was helpful. Bottom line, diet, dude. Talk to you later. Yo, Elliot.